Where you live and how long you've been surfing?
Peter Mel, Petermel. So my age, 28. Been surfing since I was about 10. Started when I was 6, but didn't really like it then very much. I live in Santa Cruz, California. 45 minutes away from the source.
The source.
Yes.
What do the boys call the source? What is it?
Mavericks. To me, Mavericks is the source.
Mavericks.
Yeah. Source of my passions at the moment.
How many times do you get to surf that?
It varies, really, but most of the time it's between 10 and 20. Seriously. 10 and 20 times of 15 feet or bigger. Whatever you want to call it, 15 feet or bigger.
Right.
Well, when I started surfing Mavericks, I thought I was going to be riding the biggest board I could possibly find, you know? So my dad's been shaping boards for 30 years actually now. He designed this beast 11 and 8, I think it is. That was the first board I ever made for Mavericks. Only rode it once. Caught a couple waves on it, but it was too big. You know, the thing was I was just riding it rather than me riding the board. You know, so over the years we kind of designed things that were more performance oriented. You know, kind of things that I could control. And so now at a 10-4, I shaped some of my boards. This year specifically, I got some boards from John Carper in Hawaii. He kind of is someone that I've really been happy with as far as his shaping. He's a great shaper, and so I've always kind of emulated his style and my shaping, along with my father's, of course. So this year he was really nice in the fact that he kind of gave me a couple boards to try out. Most of the waves you see from this year are on John's boards. I rode a couple of my boards, but I really felt comfortable on his boards, and so I rode them most of the winter.
What was the average size?
10-4 was the 10-5, which was the first board he gave me. He actually shaped it for another surfer, Rusty Moran. He said, you know, this is the board, this is the one. I want you to ride it this winter. And I said, okay, you know, I'll give her a go. I went to the Quicksilver Eddie Aikau Memorial thing, and he let me take the board there. And he's all, yeah, I paddle this thing out, you know. So I paddled the board out and paddled it back. Never got to ride it. Took it home with me. Decided, you know, first day I got to ride it was, I believe, the January 22nd. You know, they're all blended together these days. But that was the first K2 contender, quote unquote, that was on that yellow board. It was the very first wave I'd ever ridden on the board of any kind of consequence. But it felt really good after that. I was kind of happy with the board. Unfortunately, Freaky Friday took away from me. You know, got caught by a wave. Yeah, it's gone. I don't know. It got sucked over the falls.
Was that what that was?
Board broke. It was actually yellow board. Yeah, kind of had a red, blue tip. There's a shot of it where it's just kind of stuck. Yeah, and my friend Nacho. Nacho was inside of me. Nacho Lopez. Yeah.
And what do you do in that situation? Take us through that scenario.
Well, with that one, I mean, with a lot of times, it's, you know, there's lots of times.
What are you doing there?
Well, it's.
No, seriously, how do you position yourself there?
Well, because you're trying to catch waves, right? You got to be near the impact. You got to be into the zone, into the spot that's where you can catch the waves. So sometimes waves shift, you know, and so you've got to be on top of your game. And I thought I was on top of the game. I was just getting out of the wave away. You know, I could have been in a worse situation. I could have been way more inside. Just so happens that I was kind of just a tinge too far inside. And I tried to shove the board over the top, and it wouldn't go, and it got caught with the lip along with Nacho's. Nacho's cord didn't break, mine did. I thought I was going to savor my board. I was thinking, no problem. I was kind of happy the cord broke. You know, I was like, I'm out of the situation. You know, so I paddled away from it. My friend Doug Acton was there with a ski. He picked me up, got out of the wave, and I'm like, oh God, we got to go get that board. We got to go get the board. I'm like, okay, so we jump on the back, we run, looking for it. All I saw was the nose. It was all that was left. Didn't see the tail. My cord was, you know, all I had was a strap left on my ankle. Nacho was I couldn't believe it. His board buckled in 3 places, and you know, like I said, the wave just took it away from me. That was a good board too. So I had John shape me another one, same size. It's a little bit smaller, just a little more refined. The other board was a little bigger, same rocker, so forth. Another magic board. And that's the thing with big wave surfing. I think it's a confidence you're kind of born with, you know, and the fact that you can kind of just have that confidence and to be able to sit there and wait for it to come, you know, because you aren't going to catch it. But, you know, the main thing, all these people ride these 12-foot boards to be able to position themselves to catch these waves and so forth. These boards don't fit in paddle in surfing. You've got to be able to position yourself in the crest of the wave and actually know that positioning. It's so hard to explain. It really is. It's just a feel, you know. And sometimes you have that feel. A lot of times I do, so I'm kind of happy with that. Okay, wait a minute. We're to the dangers here. Okay.
He's so scared.
I try not to think about this stuff, man, and all of a sudden you're bringing it on to me, you know?
He's just scared the hell out of me. I saw you go to your board with a little fall.
See, I've already forgotten about that stuff. I really have.
Can we talk about some of your nightmares?
Well, shoot. Okay, one nightmare I did have was having one of those waves land directly in front of me. You know, I try not to have that happen to me ever. Is have a wave, you know, I have yet to happen except for at Todos. During that swell, the Taylor caught that wave. I had that situation. Anyway, what scares me in Mavericks? First of all, you're dealing with a whole different feel with surfing. Is most of these people are scared of cold water, you know? People putting on wetsuits and booties and hoods and all that kind of stuff. You know, I'm one of those lucky ones that was born and bred in it. So that part, which scares probably 90% of the people that even come over to surf it or surf it already, I'm used to that stuff. So I'm happy wearing wetsuit booties. I'm actually probably more comfortable in that. So that fear is kind of set aside. Then you add the rocks. Now the rocks are something I have yet to deal with, which I'm sure I will at some point, as long as I keep surfing the place, I will. The thing that scares me, I mean, I don't like to say that those scare me that much, because most of the situations, well, no, well, I'm aware of them, and also when you have to deal with that part, the worst is over. Really, because the scariest part is the impact zone and how much water really moves at Mavericks. That's what scares me the most. I mean, you look at waves all around the world, you know, and like the one wave that I can compare Mavericks to the most, in my mind, is Stockton Avenue. Right? This is a wave in Santa Cruz, California, that doesn't break over 3 feet. Right? Doesn't break over 3 feet, but it's the most. It looks like Mavericks, but you're timesing it times 25. And, you know, this wave it's a perfect example of Mavericks. I mean, I don't know if you've seen Stockton Avenue. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's just a little, it's just a little perfect wave, right? But if you look behind and you look at it, there's no back to the wave, right? It's just a grinding perfect barrel, right? And the left does the same thing, it grinds and kind of has this thing. You don't ride the left really, but the right always just kind of peels and off. And that's what I would compare Mavericks to, being that there's so much water. I mean, that 2-foot wave at Stockton could smash your face into the rocks. The 25-foot wave at Stockton Avenue, but the 25-foot wave at Mavericks would probably do the exact same thing. There's no back to the wave. There's so much water moving into one central location. That's the real part that scares me, is actually the wave. There's an explanation. You know, the wave at Mavericks is so confined and so deep all around it, and in areas that you don't really know how big waves are until they actually stand up on the reef. There's so much water involved there, and it's always going into this direction. With Todos, it's the same feel. It's really deep and so forth, but you kind of see the wave kind of standing as they come in. You can see sets coming and so forth, so it's a little shallower, I think. Yeah, the way it comes in, it's really a tall-looking wave. It's not as thick as Mavericks is. You know what I mean? So Todos is like a tall, and it grows, and it kind of grows as it comes in. It kind of grows and gets taller and taller. Mavericks is kind of this thing where it just, the bottom drops out kind of a thing, and no back, and there's more mass involved in Mavericks than Todos. Todos is a much more rideable big wave. That's why you see, you know, you look at all these videos I'm sure you're looking at a lot of the times, every time someone's taking off at Mavericks, they're not in the center of the peak. Literally, the center of the peak at Mavericks is almost a forbidden zone. You know what I mean? It is.
Over there.
Yeah. Way over in the, you know, why you're saying about riding the left, you know, the prime example is it's the forbidden zone, especially on the consequence days, or the days where it's 20 feet or bigger. It's just really out of that realm. And where Todos is, I'd like to think of it as a more rideable big wave. It's set up to handle bigger swells and not necessarily with the boils and so forth. That adds spice to it too. We wish we could blow those rocks up and make it a better, bigger wave. But that wave is really a much more manageable big wave. Well, it started a while back. My first year in Hawaii, when I actually rode up my first wave at Sunset Beach. I had a wave come out of the channel, and I borrowed a 7.6 from a friend of mine. He let me borrow, and Mark going, and I rode his board and paddled into this thing that I didn't think I was going to make, and somehow, with the confidence in my surfing, I guess, or whatever, my own feel, born and bred, I rode the wave and kicked out in the channel. I don't even know how big it was. It felt huge. That feeling, you can't describe, really. I can't describe it. That feeling when I kicked out of that wave was the best feeling I'd ever had. Something that you accomplish surfing, you've always had to drive. I'd never felt that. In competition, it's just not that same feel. This is you and Mother Ocean going at it, and that's where the real competition was in my mind. And it started right there, and it's grown progressively since then, until 92 when Mavericks actually came into my life, 91 when it came into my life, that winter. And I rode my first wave there. I got that same feeling again. I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. And it's something you really can't explain to anybody. It's just the adrenaline, the accomplishment of achieving goals and riding Mother Nature. I think it is. And with any extreme sports, I think in anything that you actually conquer your own mind, and conquering your own mind, and your soul, achieve it. That feeling when you kick out of a wave or kick out of I don't know, your snowboard, whatever. But it's a feel for me. There's no advice you can give somebody oh yeah, be safe. Here, come this direction, follow me. More or less, if someone's going to do something like that, I don't think they're going to ask for advice. I think they're going to say, maybe ask your opinion on where do I paddle out or something like that, or which direction may I go. There's no advice you can give to somebody like, watch out for that shark. There's that sail rock. It's if you're going to do something like this, if you're going to go to Mavericks and you think you're accomplished to do something like that, if you're going to go to Todos and you're going to do something like that, you're going to study it. You're going to know for your own mind that you're confident enough to do it. That's what I did when I was going to go out in these spots. I wasn't asking my best buddy, well, what do I do here? I figured it out for myself.
So this winter, you didn't see anybody out in the water that shouldn't have been out there because they're chasing 50 grand?
No, I didn't. I think everyone that was out there for themselves, not 50 grand. It wasn't. I didn't feel that. What I saw as far as what the K2 brought to big wave surfing was a drive to push the limits at stuff that we've already done. What we love. All of a sudden it's given us a drive, a little extra pizzazz to it. I still would have been out there, but all of a sudden now I probably rode the biggest waves of my life because there was a little help from K2 and from my buddies pushing me. You've known me for many years. I've competed. I've shot photos. I've rode big waves. My passion is surfing, right? And getting a good tube ride, or riding a big wave, or winning an event. All that stuff is just piling onto something that I really love, which is surfing. It's just stuff that I keep adding onto my life, that I keep trying to achieve goals, and something that I've done. Surfing is my life, and this is just all stuff I just keep adding onto it to make it better. I think it's an overall like camaraderie feel, like how I was actually really pushed and came to a peak in my career as far as big wave riding, a pinnacle that I never thought I'd ever reach in my surfing career. All of a sudden, it just, like, the stuff just kept piling on, you know. I tell you the truth, I hope it's not over, and I don't hope it's the pinnacle. I want more stuff to keep coming. I mean, but if I were to look back and go, this was the peak of, you know, basically it was the peak of my surfing career, you know, riding the biggest waves I've ridden ever, and the most, you know, I was stoked on riding one 20-foot wave a year ago. Now I've ridden, you know, probably 10 or 15 this year. So, like, right there, that goes to show this year was awesome for me. It was awesome for everybody, and the fact that there was so much big surf. And anybody who surfs big waves has got to do it this winter. Really did.
Mentally, you've changed, and you'll never be the same.
Obviously. A lot of different. It's been a heavy winter. It's been a heavy winter.